Hello everyone and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program video, and today I built my very own moon rocket. And so here's just the basics of it. So over here we have a singular command pod with the lunar lander here. As ladders, it has a ton of things, it has a ton of tricks up and slave and a lot of Delta V. Very forgiving ship. We have our second stage powered by a mod engine. This engine right here, the Cougar engine, vacuum optimized. And then we have the single core stage, which is basically these engines, which are more powerful than the F1 engines supplied in the Making History DLC. And a first stage of Apollo and the second stage of Apollo all put together. So hopefully this is an interesting rocket. This is a live commentary, which is basically I'm going to be playing the game while I talk. And I don't think I'm going to do any cutting. I'm only going to do cutting if there gets to like a boring part or something. And even then I'm going to do it in a time warp. So I think we have the moon where we want it. No, we do not have the moon where we want it. So let's just get it to where we want it, which is right around here. Because I'm picky. That's good enough, I'm gonna say. So let's just go ahead. 3, 2, 1. Fire up these engines and lift off. We have a successful liftoff of Sopolis going to the moon. Now, I designed this rocket to be incredibly user-friendly. All you really need to do is just have a basic knowledge of how to, do gravity turns and go and just basic knowledge of KSP. So if you're new to the game and you do not want to build a moon rocket, consider downloading these mods and this rocket, which I have in the description below. So we are currently just climbing pretty fast, I'm gonna say, because I have no idea how to calibrate this since I'm metrically impaired. I'm an American. I'm a 30 American. So yeah, let's just launch this thing up. Now, one thing that I like about this ship is that these engines are also somewhat vacuum optimized in a way. So they work well at sea level, but they also work well in space. And that's good because we're gonna need this rocket to perform a little bit of our circularization rate. Or else we're not going to have enough Delta V. We're going to have enough Delta V, but we always need more to spare. But this rocket is currently putting Valentina up at a steady 3 Gs, which is right at the green limit there. It's definitely better than the Apollo's 4 Gs. But, yeah. As you can see, the atmosphere is thinning out, which means we can do more of a turn. I'm going to go to 40 degrees now. In the inclination of this, get back onto the line and make sure that this is as aligned as possible. There we go. Alright, so I think that's as high as we're gonna need. I mean, we don't really need to get ourselves into a parking orbit. We just need to get ourselves into orbit. Another thing about these engines that I like is that they, turn orange in a way. Yeah, they do turn orange. So let's go and put this at prograde and let's warp all the way up here. And we're just gonna boost the engines up to full power. Alright, 3, 2, 1. So that's gonna perform a little bit of our circularization burn in a way. And let's just aim this down a little bit so that way it'll be super efficient to bring us closer to the apparatus. And I'm just gonna go ahead and correct for any mistakes our first stage might have had, since it's incredibly unstable outside of the atmosphere. But let's go ahead and go back to the prograde marker, and let's finish off our orbit. So burn, and you need to circularize. Boom. Alright, okay. So please do not mind that this is not attached. I know, that's why I added many of these, just to simulate that it's attached. But here is the part where I probably should have added a action group. And I probably am going to add an action group for this. But in the case that the file doesn't let me transmit action groups, set all the ladders to action group 1 and set these guys to action group 2. I have no idea why the action group did not work on these guys, but just hoping for the best here, guys. There we go. That should be enough power, or enough to, like, you know, not worry about not having power. Remember, this is a rocket made for noobs, for beginners. So yeah, now what we need to do now is we need to add a maneuver. Okay, and I need you to just scroll this thing up until it passes the moon thing, just like so, until you see this. You can also move it around to get an even better perspective of what would happen. Now I want a free return trajectory, or in this case I want to get back down to low as possible, but at the same time, oh no, I did not want to head out. Alright, so we're gonna have to burn this in 2 minutes, and there we go. Alright, so we're gonna have to burn that in 5 minutes, but I'm too lazy to wait 5 minutes, so we're just gonna warp there. And I'm gonna select maneuver. We can hopefully just act the engines just a little bit, just to maneuver our way to where we're going to burn, and just stop. T-minus 18 seconds for the burn. The exhaust coming from this engines are like really nice. You're gonna see why, but 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, it looks really professionally built. Look at that. Boom. Okay, so we are burning, and it looks good. It looks pretty good. We don't have a free return trajectory, but we don't need one. So we're just gonna make sure that we stop when the burn tells us to. 3, 2, 1. Boop. Wait, I just need a little bit more. I'm gonna get rid of this. This is gonna take us right here, right? Yeah. So now we can just warp here. I'm gonna select retrograde, because that's where we need to go. And let's burn this baby. Retrograde. So, and there. That's how close we need to get. And now we're moving the opposite way of the moon's rotation, but that's perfectly fine. So now let's just circularize our moon orbit. Oh, that's not good at all. Right there. That's fine though. We can fix that. We just need to get a bit closer to the ground, like right there. Now we could warp here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this stage one final time to just deorbit ourselves from the moon to the lunar surface, and we're gonna use this and this big engine and these tiny maneuvering engines to just softly touch down on the surface of the moon. We're getting, yeah, this is extremely close. This is basically perfect. Right, okay, so. Wait, no, not forward. We need to go backward. There we go. Right. So, like this. And, around here would be nice. I don't want to land on this crater. So yeah, we can now just separate, and now we're just gonna, you know, time up times 5 since that's the closest we can possibly get to 4. Alright, okay, so we're just gonna let's pop out our landing legs for a little bit. And now we're just gonna activate our engine to begin slowing us down. I was fooled by this a second, because we're on the highlands of the moon. We're on mountains, so yeah. And there we go. No space trash whatsoever, like the Apollo left. So we are about basically ready, and we have so much Delta V in this stage. This stage is going to be the stage that gets us back as well. Originally, this just stayed here, but it had so much excess fuel that I could practically just, you know, get rid of the little engine that I had in between these two and just use these two tanks. And it'll have enough Delta V to perform 5 different moon landings and head back to the Earth. So a little touch, and there we go. Alright, so we got to take this solar panel down, and press 1, and our ladders will do the rest of the work. So now we're gonna EVA, and we're gonna go down the ladders as the first woman Kerbal steps down. I'm just kidding. This Kerbal has been here thousands upon thousands of times, considering since I have 4 other moon landings in this and on the moon. I think one's located here. I think we're good, so let's just plant the flag over here. Now the challenge is, what are we gonna name this flag? Now this flag is gonna be called Tomes was here. There we go. So let's take a nice read of this. Tomes was here. Reads. Hee hee. Yep, that seems like the appropriate name for a moon mission. So now we can do something that's totally unrealistic and fly. I'm just kidding. We're gonna head back to Kirby because we can't be bothered to, you know. I've had so many practice runs and revisions with this craft that it's getting quite boring landing on the moon, and I mean that it's really like super boring to land here now. So let's just reboard our spacecraft just like so. And board. Alright, so we boarded the spacecraft. Now, all we need to do is press 1 and extend the solar panels again, because we're gonna need them to feed Valentina in her extensive beauty salon. You know, we gotta keep that hair tight. And just like that, lift off from the moon. Goodbye. We'll probably be seeing you again pretty soon. So now let's just go full throttle sideways. This is what I like to call, I'm going back home. Except I'm going on an angle this year. We are technically, it doesn't matter which side of the moon that you lift off from, but you could go ahead and do what I'm doing. So you just escape from the moon, and you just press warp here, up over there, and you just escape. And what you do is you do a singular orbit, and then you go retrograde, and you burn, that way your periapsis is only 3000. And then what you do is you warp not at the periapsis, because then you're just gonna blow up, as I learned the hard way. You're gonna burn just before you enter. Okay, now this heat shield not equipped to take on a lunar burn or aero brake. So I'm gonna use some of this fuel to slow down the capsule for landing. Now, I could just do a powered landing since this thing can survive-ish, but at the same time, this engine won't really be any good once it gets in the atmosphere, so yeah. Slowing it down to here and then separating it, because this thing is gonna burn up and crash because it has 0 parachutes and 0 heat shields, something that which our capsule does fortunately have. Is gonna burn up, and so we can keep the ablator levels over here. And thanks to us slowing down, we're going around 1000 meters per second slower. So that's always a good thing. And we're just going to re-enter. Don't mind these little heat things. That's just the heat shield taking a pretty big beating. And that's also the ladder, which we kind of want to explode. So it's gonna go ahead and just do that. And please do not pay attention to the G-force. That is not the real G-force. So we can now jettison the heat shield. And there we go. We just deploy the parachute. And I'm going to play music while this thing parachutes down. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you like these purple videos, this style, or the previous style where I just, edit the video first and then I put my commentary over it. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.